is another wet and rainy day here in Portland, Oregon, which feels kind of appropriate because I'm in a little bit of a rainy day mood. And that is because there is this tension that I'm feeling right now between my freelance work and my own projects. And that tension is related to the 3 stages of learning in public that I mentioned on an earlier vlog, but that I'm going to sketch out today. Let's take a look at these 3 stages. Stage 1. Stage 1 here is all about skill building. When you're developing whatever skill you are learning in public, you could start out at the very beginning, know nothing when you start learning in public, but over time your skills will build. Eventually to the point where you could do one of 2 things in stage 2. You could start doing your own independent freelance work, or you might be able to get a job. Your skills might be good enough, maybe you've demonstrated enough level of mastery to get a job, which is just as good, could be just as good as doing freelance work. There are a lot of benefits to getting a job and not working independently for yourself. So I want to kind of give equal weight to those 2 options in stage 2. Stage 3 is exciting because not only have you developed skills and you've got a little bit of business experience related to your skills, but then you can actually start developing, building, and selling your own products using that skill, your knowledge of the world of business, and one other thing that happens. I'm gonna add a vertical axis to this graph. If you are learning in public throughout these stages, sharing your work online in a findable way, in an interesting way, in an engaging way, then what happens is your audience, the people that know about the work that you do, will increase over time, and it's probably going to have a little bit of an exponential curve to it rather than just a linear one, to the point where hopefully when you start, if you choose to make your own products, then when you start doing that, you'll have enough people that know about you that some of these folks will want to buy your thing. Here's where my dilemma and the tension comes in for me right now. I'm gonna use a Lego guy to help me out here. So more or less, here's where I am right now. I'm in the middle of stage 2 and stage 3. About half of my income comes from freelance work. The other half comes from educational products that I have built. I'm still moving along this axis here, and my goal is to end up over here, maybe even by the end of this year. But the problem arises when I try to do the work and set the expectations of already being here, when in actuality I am right back here, further back along this path. So the way that has manifested itself so far this week is in a lot of freelance work the past 2 days, yesterday and today. And I feel like because of that, the vlog yesterday and some of my other work was lacking a little bit. And that has happened before. It always seems to be that a number of freelance projects come at once to the point where it makes it hard to keep up with my other work, so the overall total workload is a little bit too much for any given day or week during that crossover period. And that's when, particularly those times, which seems to happen once, maybe twice a month, that's when the tension arises between the two different types of work and where I am on this graph compared to where my mind wants me to be. And sometimes I set the expectations of doing the work, of creating the output of being here, even when I'm back here. I do want to point out there are many positives to being in this stage of doing freelance work. For me, with each new project, there tends to be either a new skill that I get to learn, a new industry that I get to learn about, something that's new and different that builds my skills or my experience in a new way. Yesterday, I spent a lot of my time drawing people, kind of cartoonish people. In most of my sketch notes, the ones that I've done for others, I haven't had to pay too much of attention. The role of individual characters, putting together multiple characters for a given sketch note, hasn't been something that I've had to do until now. I'm gonna cover up some things. But for yesterday's, I got to develop. In this one, you'll see, let's see if that focuses right, 3 different characters. Let me show you 2 more. Here are another 2 characters that play a role within the illustration sketch note. It's almost kind of comic book style, cartoonish. So that's something that I get to play around with, something new, a little bit different type of visuals that I am creating. And for today's, I'm gonna get back. I haven't yet actually recorded a video with these cool, they're really small, these cool little oh, I dropped it. These cool Lego guys and gals. Oh, that's probably not gonna work. And in addition to using many action figures, many people like this, I'm also going to experiment for the first time with stop motion animation. So not only is that a skill in terms of setting up this camera to be able to take a photo once a second as I'm moving pieces around, but also doing the editing of that, and also just a different style of video that I haven't created before. So even with those 2 most recent freelance projects, there are aspects of those projects that excite me and that I know that I'm learning and benefiting from, but that tension comes when I feel like the learning and the development of those things comes at the expense of building the other projects that I'm working on. In the long run, it's all gonna be good because I am building skills and I am continuing to build my own thing. I'm just noticing, as I've noticed before, that there are these chunks of time where it feels like too much. Too much all at once. And I'm not able to devote as much energy to my own projects as I would like. So depending what you're working on and working toward, just know that you might face that tension yourself one day. And my suggestion and my advice to myself is to try not to get in your mind or in your expectations too far along this graph, farther than you actually are. Another consequence of that tension for me these past couple of days is that even though it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I have yet to post yesterday's vlog. I finished editing it. Last time I looked at it, I didn't particularly like it. Like I mentioned, I think it lacks substance, but I'm probably just gonna post it anyway because there's a few good things in there. And because done is better than good. Shout out to you, Muddy Waters. So the rest of my afternoon will entail getting that vlog posted, learning how to do some stop animation, and recording a video with some Lego people. Wish me luck.